Hello Internet, my name is CyberGladius and today I'm going to show you how to build your own Windows FE ISO for forensic investigations. For those who don't know, Windows FE stands for Forensic Environment. It is an operating system, a live bootable Windows operating system that allows you to collect evidence from a server. This tool is specifically designed for data forensic evidence collection. As such, it has a built-in software write blocker preventing tampering of metadata and data on drives we are investigating. Some of the other key features are the ability to work on 32 or 64-bit processors as well as ARM. However, I will not be discussing how to set up an ISO for ARM processors today. There's also BitLocker support and UEFI boot support, as well as legacy boot support as well, which means that you're not going to have any trouble booting this up on newer hardware. The core default build will also have a copy of FTK Imager in both 32-bit and 64-bit. This will make it so that we can easily create images of the system that we need to collect evidence from. One of my favorite features is the ability to actually set up a temporary network share on the system that you're doing collections on. This is great if you do not have enough space to store the data that you need to collect. This allows you to set up another SMB share somewhere else on the network where you can store the large files that you're going to be creating. That is really big and key when you're doing a forensic collection on a lot of different systems and don't have a huge USB drive to drag around with you. Now you might be asking yourself, why don't I just use a bootable Linux ISO? I mean, Kali has a forensic version that you can boot up that has a software write blocker and also has DD installed on it. Well, that is a good question, and for most of my career I did actually use that, but I'd have to say I had to switch over to this not too long ago because I ran into a bit of a problem. Well, you know, the conundrum that Windows is it's closed off little walled garden, and part of that is the REFS file system, which is proprietary only to Microsoft. So as of today, I don't know of any way of mounting that particular file system inside of a Linux Live ISO, or in any Linux distro for that matter. That is a problem when you encounter large Hyper-V servers that have their data stored in REFS file systems. It is a good file system, don't get me wrong, has a lot of great benefits and features to it, but it kind of screws me over when I need to collect the VHD files from the Hyper-V system. It's a real problem. So I had to shift over to WinForensic Environment. And with the preamble out of the way, let's jump into how to create our own ISO. Since we are on the WinFE website right now, let's head over to the downloads page and download the WinFE framework package. Along with that package, because it comes in a 7-zip folder for some stupid reason, you're going to have to also download 7-zip. If they just put it in a zip file, you wouldn't have to do this, but we are where we are. So go and grab a version of 7-zip and install it. I recommend you have it anyways. It's a great tool. Once you've got 7-zip, use the link down in the description below, which will take you over to my personal website and blog post on how to set up and do this entire process. In the download section of that blog post, you will find a link to the FTK Imager combo pack. It's a 7-zip archive as well. And inside of there, you will find both the 32-bit and 64-bit version of FTK Imager. It can be a real hassle to try and find this older legacy version, 32-bit legacy version of FTK Imager. I just so happen to have a copy lying around, could not find it anywhere else on the internet with a good download link, so I posted it up on a Google Drive link that anyone can download from. The archive is password protected, and the password is just FTK Imager, all lowercase, no space. After we're done with the FTK Imager, we're going to need to head over to a Microsoft page and download the Windows ADK, which stands for Assessment and Development Toolkit. The Assessment and Development Toolkit is going to be key to creating the Windows PE environment. Along with the Windows ADK base package, we're also going to get the Windows PE add-on for ADK. I know that's word soup, but deal with it. Before we go into downloading which version, because this is key, I'm going to talk a little bit about the specific versions that you need of Windows. My installation of Windows right here, System Info. My specific version of Windows, and this is important, is 19045, Windows 10 version 19045. The version that you have to have, the minimum level of version according to the WinFE website, if you go under build here, is 1803. 1803 is our minimum, and our maximum is determined by the Windows ADK package availability for a few reasons. So This important little note right here tells you that the 32-bit version of Windows PE is no longer included in the PE add-on after Windows 10 version 2004. So, in order to make this work, you are going to need to have a Windows 10 installation that I am on right now that is between version 1803 and 2004. Not the year 2004, the version 2004. That being said, we're going to need to download the version for the 2004, the most recent version that we can use with the 32-bit support, and install it, which means we need to scroll down a little bit here until we get to 2004. This is going to be the last time that the 32-bit versions were included in the Windows PE add-on. So let's go ahead and download both of these links here. Again, if you want to skip all of this searching, I have direct links on the blog post. Excellent. And lastly, to make things a little bit easier, I downloaded Notepad because we're going to need to make an adjustment to one of the files, and having the line numbers is going to make it a lot easier. That should cover it for our downloads. Let's move on to the next step of getting all of this junk installed. So, as you can see here, I have the WinFE framework. Let's go ahead and get that extracted right now. I have already installed 7-zip. I did skip that step, so hopefully you can figure that out on your own. All right, it's extracted. Here it is. I'm going to move this over to the root of the C drive to make things easier. So if we look now, here I am. Here's the root contents. I am directly under root C and then the WinFE folder. Now that that's done, let's move on to getting the base Windows ADK file installed. This is going to take a little while to do. You will need about, with everything installed, you're going to need about another 6.6 gigs of space. The first installation is going to be 1.1 gigs. The next installation should be about 5.5 gigs of space. You can accept all the defaults on both of those installations as you go through, like I'm doing now. Okay, and just like that, we are done. And hopefully I edited that down for time. Okay, so that's done. Let's start the next one, because these take a long time to do. There we go, 5.5 gigs. Again, I'm going to go through here and just accept the defaults. Awesome. All right. While that's installing, because it's going to take a minute, I am going to pull an image because you can create a custom image for the background of the FTK boot image. And I think it looks really cool, so I'm going to do it. So I'm going to copy that over. Again, we have the add-on, the Windows add-on, PE add-on running in the background here. Just trying to multitask. Hopefully you can follow along. Cool. So if I go into this, so right now I am in the WinFE framework folder. I'm going to click on the 64-bit version. You'll notice that right here there is a wallpaper JPEG. It's nothing but this little square. I'm going to replace that. And the image size that I found works best is a 600 width in pixels by a 400 height. So 600 by 400. Otherwise, the image will not show all the way up. So I'm going to get that. All we have to do is rename the image that we want. I'm going to call it wallpaper. And we are just going to copy and paste it in here. Replace. And we're going to back up a level. We'll go into the 32-bit one, and we're going to paste it again. Place. Awesome. Now that is going to give us a custom wallpaper once we boot up the ISO. So I'm not just doing the base install. There's going to be a couple of little customizations that I want to do just to show you how you can do them, because this is a very extensible tool that you can keep adding on to. Speaking of adding on to this tool, you might have noticed that I actually downloaded two versions of Notepad++, a 32-bit and 64-bit, the portable versions. What you can do is we can actually add this into our base image install and we can use it in the future. So for other tools that we want to use, what you can do is you can go in USB, x86 64-bit, then I'm going to go into Tools again. And then we've got the 64-bit and 86-bit. So these two folders are going to be on the ISO that we create and boot from. And we can put tools that we want to be able to use in here, not just the other basic tools that come along with the basic build. I want to add Notepad, for example. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go into the 64-bit. I'm going to grab a 64 portable version of Notepad. And then I'm going to unpack it here. Let's rename this guy. Nope. Can't spell. Gonna edit that out to look less dumb. Notepad++. Awesome. And we'll delete this other one. Let's take a look now. So it's just plain old Notepad. It's in there, but it's a tool that we can add or use. Let's go to the 32-bit version. We're gonna do the same thing here. And I've done this with a few different tools. I really recommend Cape. There's also Redline Collection tool. Those are all very useful. And they have portable versions that you can use. Awesome. And again, delete that. That looks good. Since we are here, like I mentioned at the top, one of the main features that this ISO relies on is the FTK imager. Let's go ahead and unpack those FTK imager files that we downloaded earlier. We'll unzip them. Again, the password is just FTK imager. And let's show password. See, nothing fancy. Cool, did you extract? You did, cool. Let's start with the 32-bit version. Excellent. Also, I should note that you cannot have another version of FTK Imager installed when you do this. Make sure you uninstall any other version that you have installed. So that's done, finished. Now what we need to do is we're going to head into C drive. We're going to go into the 32-bit program. So program files x86, access data, and then FTK. This FTK folder here is what we're going to copy over. Again, the portable programs thing that we discussed earlier. So I'm in the same location I was before. Let me see if I can spread this out so you can see it better. All right, so again, the location you have to drop this is under the C Intel WinFE, the framework folder that we have, USB x86-x64 tools, and because we're on the 32-bit version, we're using the x86 folder. So I'm going to take this whole FTK imager file, and copy and paste it over. Boom, we're done. Now we have to head back to Control Panel, uninstall the 32-bit version we just installed. Done, excellent. Let's head back to the Downloads folder and install the 64-bit version. Just accepting all the defaults. I don't want it to launch. Boom, we're done. All right, let's head back into C drive, this time in the 64-bit folder, access data again. And you can see we have a 64-bit version installed this time. Let's back up once. Let's go to the tools folder. So similar to last time, same area, but this time we're going to go into the 64-bit one. We're just going to Control C and Control V. And we're done. That is all we have to do with the FTK imager. Let's check on the Windows PE add-on. Looks like that's done. Perfect. Let's close that now. So this should be all of the basics that we have or need to do our build. Okay. Now, before we start building the bootable image that we want, we're going to make a couple of changes. Now, this is optional, but I highly recommend it. What the default WinPE framework does not have as part of its build is PowerShell support. And you can imagine if you have PowerShell support or PowerShell access in a Windows Live bootable OS, that opens up a lot of opportunities later on down the road to automate things. So, for example, we could build a cape collection automation. We can't do that if we don't have PowerShell. So what I'm going to do is edit the default make WinFE x64 or x64-x86 file with Notepad to add in the ability to have the PowerShell inside of the bootable OS. So to do that, let's first get Notepad, because I have the portable one. I can't just right click. Notepad, awesome, and open. We'll head to the C drive where the WinFE framework folder is, and then we're going to grab this guy right here, not the make CD one. We want this one. We're going to open it up. I'm going to work this backwards so that the line numbers are consistent for you. What we want to do is start with the x86 processes. DISM commands. Here we go. So we want line 227. At 227, we're going to paste in the additional packages that we want to add, which give us the PowerShell support. I can't leave these all in the description, so you're going to have to go to my blog post to get them. There's a whole bunch of them. Also, while you're here, there are some additional options that have been turned off. For example, the Windows Defender offline. Haven't tested it, but you could uncomment all of these and I believe have a offline scanner as well. Don't quote me on that, but look into it. So now that we've added in the packages down here, we're going to head back up to about line 99. 99 it is. At line 99, we're going to paste in the additional packages for PowerShell support for the 64-bit version. There we go, we've added it. Now, you can't add this later on because when this builds the the WIM files with all of the content that it needs, if you change these files after the registry stuff gets added in the script, it will not work. All of your changes, none of this whole build will work. It just breaks. So we've added in a bunch of different lines. We should be good now. Let's go ahead and save this file and minimize it. Now we are going to need an administrative command prompt. Close the other one. Let's head to the root of C and head into our framework. And now we're going to run that batch script that we just edited. Again, that is the make WinFE x64-x86.bat. And this is going to take anywhere from about 3 to 10 minutes to run. So I'm going to pause the recording and come back when it is complete. And just like that, we are done. Our last step is to convert all of this and pack it up into an ISO file. Let's do that now. We're going to use the other bat file that came with the framework. And this should be pretty quick. Boom, there we go. The ISO file that was just created is going to be in the WinFE framework folder and then in ISO, and boom, there we are. Let's fire this ISO up and make sure everything is working as we intend. All right, so what I've done is offloaded the ISO that we created on the Windows 10 virtual machine, and I now have the ISO ready to boot in a new VM. There's nothing else attached to this VM, just the ISO itself. So let's go ahead and fire this up. All right, we're looking good so far. So as you can see here, we have the option to choose between the 64-bit version and the 32-bit version. I'm going to go ahead with the 64-bit version for right now. But the 32-bit should be identical. So if the 64-bit one works, then there's no reason why the 32-bit version should not work. And here we go. As you can see, my custom image that I showed you how to put in is showing up here. And we're going to select English, go forward. I know about the write protect. Now, normally you'd be able to mount an IS or mount a disk here, but I am not going to do that. I'm just going to continue through to show you where our tools folder landed. Okay, now you can see along the top here, I've got this toolbar. I'm going to go under other tools and I'm going to go to File Explorer. Now the tools that we packaged up earlier that I showed you about, the Notepad++ that we had, it is going to be still on the CD side in the ISO main folder. And then Tools, and go 64, and then here we go, Notepad++. Let's go ahead and open that up. Okay, a couple of minor errors just about viewing and settings, but that's no big deal. And here we go, we've got Notepad++ working, excellent. Now let's make sure that our PowerShell setup actually worked. Let's go command prompt. Yay, here we go, that looks good. Okay, and that's going to wrap up this video. If you found this helpful, please drop a like, comment, subscribe. Even if you want to tell me I'm an idiot in the comments, that'd be great. YouTube's algorithm loves it. My name is CyberGladius, and I want to thank you for watching.